This week it's the season premiere of Irish Bandit Revolution as we're talking about one of my all-time favorite Disney animated series. We're going to be getting into everything Gargoyles this week on Irish Bandit Revolution. Then I'm going to be telling you about some more Gargoyles related episodes coming up later on this season. Irish Bandit Revolution, the 11th season, begins now. Welcome to a brand new season of Irish Bandit Revolution. I hope everyone is having a great week. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. "1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. Stone by day, warriors by night. We were betrayed by the humans we were sworn to protect. Frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. Now, here in Manhattan, the spell is broken, and we live again. We are defenders of the night. We are gargoyles." Those immortal opening words were spoken by Goliath, the lead gargoyle, in probably one of Disney's all-time best animated series. You know, when you look at the House of Mouse and you see all the animated series that came before Gargoyles, you look at something like Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers or DuckTales or Darkwing Duck or Tailspin, all great series, but they're, cartoonish. Well, of course they're cartoonish. They're cartoons after all, but with the plots in them, the colorful characters and the funny characters. Gargoyles was something completely different, and we're going to be talking about Gargoyles today on Irish Bandit Revolution. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of this series. I reference it a lot when I'm talking about any of my all-time favorite series of the past. There was just something different about Gargoyles when you looked at everything else. It had a more serious tone where other characters in Disney series were, I hate keep using this word, but they look cartoonish. When you look at somebody like a Darkwing Duck, or you looked at Scrooge McDuck, or you looked at Baloo or Goofy, they have the very cartoony feel to it. But when you looked at the animation style of something like Gargoyles, the human characters looked human, I guess, and the gargoyles themselves didn't look comical. They looked like something you'd see in like Batman, the animated series, which I'll be referencing a lot as well, because there were they took some inspiration from Batman, the animated series. But let's get right down into it and let's talk about Gargoyles. Gargoyles was produced by Walt Disney Television and distributed by Buena Vista Television, and it originally aired from October 24th, 1994 to February 15th, 1997. We'll get into the third season of Gargoyles a little later on, because that's really when I stopped watching. But the first two seasons, fantastic. I have them both on DVD, as you just saw. Why am I? Anyway, let's get back to this. The series featured a species of nocturnal creatures known as gargoyles that turn to stone during the day. After spending 1,000 years in an enchanted, petrified state, the gargoyles, who have been transported from medieval Scotland, are reawakened in modern-day New York City, Manhattan, and take the roles of the city's secret nighttime protectors. Let me just see here. Gargoyles was noted for its relatively dark tone, complex story arcs, and melodrama. Character arcs were heavily employed throughout the series, as were Shakespearean themes, which was something that was really awesome, because you have these characters like Macbeth, best known from the Shakespeare play of the same name. You had like Puck, you had Titania, you had the Elton. I have to watch the series again, like I need an excuse. But you had a lot of Shakespearean themes throughout the entire series, and it made it interesting. You even had King Arthur pop up, which was fantastic because I'm a huge believer of, not believer, but I love the story of Camelot and King Arthur. So you can tell how excited I was when King Arthur popped up in the second season of Gargoyles. The series also received favorable comparison to Batman the Animated Series, which is what I was just saying earlier. A video game adaptation spin-off comic series were released in '95. The show storyline continued from 2006 to 2009 in a comic book series of the same name, produced by Slave Labor Graphics. I did not see that, so I don't know anything about it. Let's see, the premise of the series. The series features the Gargoyles, which we talked about, nocturnal creatures known as Gargoyles that turn to stone during the day, focusing on a clan led by Goliath. In the year 994, the clan lives in a castle in Scotland called Castle Wyvern. Most are betrayed and killed by humans, and the remainder are magically cursed to sleep, i.e. be frozen in stone form. That is so, you'd have to watch the series to get the whole thing, but that's such a dumbed down explanation that I'm getting all this from Wikipedia. I'm lazy. Until the castle rises above the clouds. A millennium later, in 1994, billionaire David Xanatos purchased the Gargoyles Castle and has it reconstructed atop his New York skyscraper, the Eyrie Building, thus awakening Goliath and the remainder of his clan. While trying to adjust to their new world, they are aided by a sympathetic female police officer, Elisa Mazza, and quickly come into conflict with the plotting Xanatos. In addition to dealing with the Gargoyles' attempts to adjust to modern New York City, the series also incorporated various supernatural threats to their safety and the world at large, which was, you had something like the Weird Sisters, again, from Shakespearean lore, which they tried to sidetrack them at every chance they got. A total of 78 half-hour episodes were produced. The first 2 seasons aired in the Disney afternoon programming block. The first season consisted of 13 episodes, which are all on season 1 of the DVDs. All 13 episodes, including the band episode, which we'll get into in a little bit, including a 5-part opening story called Awakenings. This season's episodes were almost entirely written by Michael Rivas and Bryn Chandler Reeves. The second season featured 52 episodes, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, and a long mid-season story arc dubbed by the fans as the Gargoyles World Tour, in which the main characters, they don't get into which ones, but I'll tell you which ones those are. Goliath, Elisa, his daughter, what was her name again? I forgot what Goliath's daughter named. Angela, that's it. Angela and Bronx, the gargoyle dog. Travel the world, encountering other gargoyles and confronting various mystical and science fictional dangers. The writing staff was greatly expanded for season 2. They had to be for 52 episodes. The controversial third and final season aired during Saturday mornings on ABC as Gargoyles: The Goliath Chronicles. Behind the scenes, the animation producers and writers had almost completely changed from season 1 and 2, while on screen, the Gargoyles' relationship to the world changed considerably. The voice cast for Gargoyles is probably one of the best voice casts ever assembled. You have the likes of Tom Acox Hernandez, who voiced Lexington, Ed Asner, who voiced Hudson, Jeff Bennett, who did a lion's share of the voices on Gargoyles. He did Brooklyn, he did the Megas, he did Owen Burnett, sidekick for David Xanatos. Keith David, one of the most legendary voice actors there is. He did the voice of Al Simmons' Spawn in the Spawn animated series. He pops up quite a bit, and he did the voice of Mongol for Young Justice, which is another series produced by the production team of Gargoyles, which was, you had a lot of Gargoyles cast return for that one. Bill Fagerbacke did the voice of Broadway. He's now best known as Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants. Yeah, think about Patrick was a gargoyle. And then you have what some people dub as Gargoyles, the Next Generation, because a lot of Star Trek Next Generation actors provided voices in Gargoyles, like Jonathan Frakes. He played Commander Riker in Star Trek Next Generation, but he provided the voice of David Xanatos for Gargoyles. You have Sally Richardson, who did the voice of Elisa. Marina Sirtis, Counselor Deanna Troi, did the voice of Demona. Legendary Frank Welker, he did all the animal voices like Bronx, Boudica, Cagney, Gilgamesh, Gilly. Then you had some great recurring cast members too. You had Dietrich Bauer, who was in a few episodes of Gargoyles near the end. James Belushi played a member of the mutant clan, Fang. Xander Berkeley, Cold Steel. Clancy Brown, another great voice actor, probably best known as the voice of Lex Luthor in Star Trek the Animated Series, and had a great acting pedigree before that. He was in Shawshank Redemption. Rocky Carroll, who is now on NCIS, or was last time I watched. Alan Cumming, Jim Cumming, another legendary voice actor. Tim Curry as Anton Severius. Michael Dorn, going back to Star Trek. He did the voice of Coldstone and Taurus from the New Olympians episode. Sheena Easton was in a few episodes. Matt Frewer played as Jackal. Richard Grieco as Tony Dracon. Kate Mulgrew, when we're talking about Star Trek actors, of course, but she was Voyager, and this was before Voyager, but she did the voice of Titania. Nichelle Nichols from the original Star Trek series. CCH Pounder, probably one of the best modern working actresses today. You know, she was heavily featured in S.H.I.E.L.D. She was in the last 2 seasons of Sons of Anarchy. She's currently on NCIS New Orleans. John Rhys Davies as Macbeth. You know, if I would have actually met John Rhys Davies, I probably would have asked him to do a quote from the series, because I loved the Macbeth character. He was just perfectly cast. They just did him so well. Ruben Santiago Hudson as Gabriel. He was in the first few seasons of Castle. Peter Scolari had a voice in it. Brent Spiner, Puck, again, Star Trek. He was Mr. Data. Cree Summer, who's making a name, who's made a huge name for herself in voice acting. David Warner, Thomas F. Wilson, Paul Winfield. James Avery, you know, Uncle Phil, Shredder. He had a minor role in it. So yeah, a lot of great. LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton is another one. Andrew Dice Clay was a Viking warrior. That I didn't know. I just found that out right now. Hector Elizondo. Phil Hartman. Wow. That one I didn't even know about. Tony Jay. That one I knew about. Colin Meaney. Again, from Star Trek. Rob Paulson. Yeah, I knew about that one. Tony Shalhoub. Tony Shalhoub also was in this. So, yeah. You had some big name voice actors in this who just lent their talents perfectly. Let's talk about the development of the series. We've talked enough about the voice cast. The series bears no creator credit. It doesn't, but if you ask Greg Weisman, he's the one who created the series, or co-created the series, I should say. Though there were several people who are responsible for the show's format. Michael Rivas, who wrote the first 6 episodes and was the primary writer-story editor of the show's first 2 seasons, has described himself in respect to Gargoyles as in on the ground floor of creating something iconic. Oh yeah. To this very day, people still talk about Gargoyles. There was a convention, I guess you could call it, that was called the Gathering of the Gargoyles that ran until 2013, I think it was. Such a shame that ended, though. On his blog, Greg Weisman describes himself as one of the creators of Gargoyles. Weisman, a former English teacher, was working as a Disney executive when early versions of Gargoyles were pitched by himself and others as a fast-paced light comedy. What a shift in tone that was from a fast-paced light comedy to what we got as the final result as just, I love the show. I love the show, which is what I'm talking about here today. The show was eventually developed by the writing staff, of which Wiseman was not initially a part, into something much more complex and dark. The series' first season was almost entirely written by husband and wife team Michael Reavis and Bryn Chandler Reeves, who wrote 12 and 13 episodes. The remaining episode was written by Steve Perry. Wiseman officially joined the series as a co-producer with episode 6, though he also oversaw earlier episodes in his capacity as a Disney executive, and did not have any writing credits on the show until the third season. The second season consisted of 52 episodes, and featured a much larger writing staff, including Reeves, Chandler Reeves, and Perry, as well as newcomers Linda Morano, Carrie Bates, Gary Sperling, Adam Gilead, Diane Duane, and Peter Morwood. Morwood. I'm sorry. That's my Beavis and Butthead brain coming out. Maybe we'll get to Beavis and Butthead in a different time. Amongst others. For this season, story editing duties were handed on a rotational basis by Reeves, Chandler Reeves, Bates, and Sperling. For the third season, consisting of 13 episodes, much like the first season, most of the writing staff was new to the show, although returning writers included Morano, Gilead, and Bates. Wiseman wrote the third season debut, his only writing credit on the series. Many Shakespearean characters and stories found their way into the show's storyline, particularly those from Macbeth and A Midsummer Night's Dream. The series was also influenced by medieval Scottish history, as well as television shows ranging from Disney's Adventures of Gummy Bears to Hill Street Blues. I guess I can kind of see the Gummy Bears influence in it with like the medieval setting and all. The latter in particular inspired the ensemble format of the series, and 30-second previously on Gargoyles recap found at the beginning of later episodes. The former was an influence on the original comedy development of the show, which was subsequently made more darker and more serious by first season writers Reeves, Chandler Reeves, and Perry. New York artist Joe Tomasini brought a suit against Disney, claiming that his copyrighted screenplay and character designs had been copied during the development and production of Gargoyles. The case was ultimately thrown out after it was proven that Disney did not have access to Tomasini's creations. Everybody's trying to make a buck. Gargoyles wasn't without its fair share of controversy, too. In a season 1 episode dubbed Deadly Force, Broadway, it's Broadway. I have to think back. I gotta watch the series again. After watching a Western, Broadway goes to Elisa's apartment, where he sees Elisa has left her gun out. Playing with her gun, he accidentally shoots Elisa, and then tries to pin it on somebody else before finally coming clean. This was probably one of the most realistic depictions of gun violence there was on TV. It even showed Elisa bleeding from the wound. The episode was actually pulled for a long time, but it is available on the season 1 DVD set. I have seen it, and it is actually one of my favorite episodes because it's not glorifying gun use, but it's showing that there are consequences. But now, with all the talk of gun violence today, I don't want to get into any of that right now. But it's hard not to talk about it. But I will say this. I do not own weapons. I do not own guns. It's not because I don't like guns. It's because I don't want to own a gun. If you want to own a gun, that's perfectly fine by me. Just because I don't own one, doesn't mean I'm gonna say, "Oh, you shouldn't own a gun." No, if you're responsible enough, then yeah, definitely. I wouldn't sell myself a gun, but that's just me. So, but getting back to the point at hand here, Gargoyles, I think they did a great job with this episode, and it actually had a very wonderful message to it. In the end, Gargoyles is probably one of the most iconic Disney series that there has ever been. fantastic writing, fantastic acting, beautiful artwork, beautiful animation work as well. Deep, deep stories that just engross you. One of my favorite episodes, I'm going to talk about this later on in this season, when I talk about my favorite standalone episodes, is the episode Future Tense from season 2. In the episode, Goliath, Elisa, Angela, and Bronx are transported to this supposed future New York, where David Xanatos has taken over. Most of the Gargoyles and their allies have been killed in one of the most heartbreaking moments. Like, it still gets me to this very day, even though I know everything that happened at the end of it. A blinded Broadway is trying to save Goliath and is shot and killed. That scene, to this day, it still brings me to tears to this very day. And like I said, I know what happens throughout the rest of the episode, but it doesn't take away from the sadness of it. But Future Tense is definitely one of the episodes you should definitely watch if you're getting into Gargoyles. Like, yeah, it happens in season 2. It happens during the Gargoyles World Tour. But it's definitely one you should go out of your way to watch. I can't say enough good things about Gargoyles. It is one of my favorite animated series, and I rank it up there with shows like Batman, Animaniacs, Darkwing Duck. Those are some of my favorite animated series of all time, and it's just a joy to watch and experience it. If you don't want the cartoony the cartoony fun light, then definitely watch Gargoyles. It was a favorite of my dad's. He liked Gargoyles too. I think I probably like it more, but he enjoyed it as well. And if my dad liked it, then it's something in there. But my dad also liked Teddy Ruxpin as well, so he had good taste when it came to animated series. Well, guys, that about wraps it up for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate that. You notice that I only ask you to do the thumbs up at the end of the episode, because I don't want you to do it at the beginning of the episode when you haven't even seen it yet. I want you to watch the video first and then put the thumbs up if you liked it. So, yeah, every video, I will always ask you at the end of the video to give it a thumbs up. So that way you've had a chance to watch it, digest it, enjoy it. So, like I said, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Sorry for that little rant there. Let me know in the comments section down below, what is your favorite Gargoyles moment? Is it when we first see the Gargoyles? Is it something else? Let me know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to share this video anywhere you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. Over my shoulder right here, you're going to see a link to last season, the historic season 10, including the 100th episode of Irish Bandit Revolution. In the description down below, you're going to see a link to my Redbubble store where you're going to get all your Irish Bandit merchandise, including stickers, t-shirts, leggings, tank tops. What else have we got? Phone cases for Samsung and iPhone. We also have travel mugs, coffee mugs, whatever your heart desires. It's all there at the Irish Bandit shop. And don't forget, if you're new to the channel, to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, tap that bell and you'll be notified whenever I upload anything new, whenever I go live. Everything's coming back, folks. Irish Bandit Revolution has just begun. Fire Expired will be returning. High Five will be returning. Get hype. High Five hype. They'll be returning. Toy Chest will be returning very, very soon as well. Taste tests are coming back too, so it's going to be dropping very, very soon. And I got the 60 subscriber special coming up very, very soon. I think you're going to enjoy that one. All right, next week on Irish Bandit Revolution, I'm going to be talking about one of the greatest modern TV shows there has been, as I rank all 5 seasons of the Bryan Cranston-driven epic TV show Breaking Bad. You thought I was going to say Malcolm in the Middle there, didn't you? Nope. No, we're going to be talking about Breaking Bad next week. All right, hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. I'm the Bandit, and I'm out of here. Take care, guys.